The soft drizzle had derailed my carefully laid plans, and as I gazed out the window, a heavy sigh escaped me before I turned away. I had spent nearly 2 hours perfecting my look, feeling more confident than ever, only for the rain to start. My slim waist accentuated the curve of my hips. My hair was swept into a neat ponytail that showcased delicate earrings, and my blouse hugged the contours of my padded chest while the short skirt revealed my legs from mid-thigh. Defeated, I retreated to my room, catching my reflection in the mirror once more before beginning to undress. I knew boys weren't supposed to dress this way, but the urge was undeniable. Years ago, I had discovered an old corset, likely my mother's from her youth, a worn panty girdle, and a 34A bra, all of which I stashed away in my room. I'd slip into them whenever I had the chance. The corset, with its intricate backlaces, took some practice, but I learned to cinch my waist to a more feminine silhouette. My mother had caught me a few times once in the panty girdle and bra, another time in just panties with makeup smeared across my face. Her anger was palpable, so I made sure to only indulge when I was alone. Still clad in the bra, corset, and panties, with my makeup intact and hair tied back, I stepped into the bathroom. As I reached to remove my earrings, the door swung open. My heart stopped as I turned to see my father standing there, his face flushing a deep crimson, his fists tightening and relaxing in a rhythm of barely contained frustration. "Your mother told you to stop rummaging through her things," he barked. "And yet, here you are, all dressed up again." I fumbled toward the faucet, my hands trembling. "It's time you learned a lesson," he continued, his voice sharp. "Put that washcloth down. I want you to get dressed exactly as you were before we got home. I'll be waiting in the living room, and since you enjoy this so much, I expect to see you looking the part." He stormed out, leaving me frozen, my mind racing with dread about what he might do next. Disobeying him would only make things worse, so with a sinking heart, I returned to my bedroom and sifted through the clothes I'd just discarded. My father hadn't seen my earlier outfit, so he wouldn't know the difference. In my small suitcase, I spotted a knee-length sheath dress with a round neckline and short sleeves, a better option for facing him. Noticing its wrinkles, I plugged in the iron. While it heated, I refastened the earrings, tugged the corset laces tighter, and smoothed my pantyhose. Once the dress was pressed, I slipped it on, refreshed my lipstick, and stared at my reflection. Knowing I was doomed either way, I spritzed on some of my mother's perfume and stepped into my only pair of heels. I lingered at the door, steeling myself, before flinging it open and stepping forward. The longer I hesitated, the heavier my fear grew, but I'd always been told to face consequences head-on to lessen the sting. My heels sank silently into the carpet, allowing me to approach the living room undetected. Peering inside, I saw my parents waiting. My mother's eyes found me first. "Come in, sweetheart," she said gently. "Let's see you." Her calm demeanor contrasted sharply with my father's expression, which flickered from blank to red-hot anger. I stood with my hands clasped in front of me, uncertain of their expectations. "You've certainly figured out how to look like a girl," my mother said, her tone warm. "You look lovely, dear." "He looks like a—" my father stammered, searching for words. "A girl?" my mother prompted softly. "Yes, a damned girl. My son, the girl!" His voice grew rough with exasperation. "You remember I warned you about this before. So what are we supposed to do with you? No matter what we say, you keep playing dress-up. You're 15, you should know better." "Perhaps," my mother said, her voice measured. "He needs a different kind of lesson." "Grounded for life, that's what he deserves," my father snapped. "No dates, no job, nothing but school." "I think we can do better than that," she countered. "Keeping him cooped up at home will only give him more chances to dress up. No, I was thinking since he enjoys it so much, we should let him." "What?" My father's voice cracked with disbelief. "I mean, maybe if he dressed as a girl outside of school hours, he'd get a real sense of what it's like." Shock rooted me to the spot as my father's scowl slowly twisted into a grin. The weight of my mother's suggestion hit me like a tidal wave, and I felt faint. She paused, then crossed the room to take my hand, guiding me back to my bedroom and closing the door behind us. My mother's voice cut through the quiet of the bedroom, sharp but steady. You didn't expect this turn of events, did you? Mom, please, I stammered, my voice trembling. I can't do this. What if someone sees me? This was just something I was trying out, just to see. Your excuses don't hold water anymore, sweetheart, she interrupted, her tone firm but not unkind. Not after all the times we've caught you. Honestly, I'm starting to think you might actually want to be a girl. And looking at you now, I'm not so sure I'm wrong. If you didn't pull it off so well, maybe I'd believe you, but you've clearly mastered creating a feminine figure, and your makeup is nearly flawless. That's why I don't buy it. So, tell me, what name do you go by? Her resolve was unyielding, and I knew from years of experience that arguing with her only dug a deeper hole. With a resigned breath, I murmured, Gloria. That's a lovely name, honey, she said, a soft smile breaking through her sternness. It fits you perfectly. Mom, do I really have to do this? I pleaded. The guys at school. Dad will. Yes, you have to, she said, her voice leaving no room for debate. How long depends on you. The more you resist, the longer you'll be in dresses. I'll heal by you getting you a few things, but I expect to see Gloria every day when I get home. If I don't, trust me, we'll find ways to make sure you listen. Now, do you know your sizes? Under her unwavering gaze, I shared what I knew. She nodded, then mentioned she'd noticed me using her old corset to shape my waist. She fell silent for a moment, her eyes thoughtful, before motioning for me to follow her. I trailed her to her bedroom, where she handed me a purse and pointed toward the door. Consider this your first test, she said. Show me you can carry yourself as a girl or not. Either way, we're going shopping, so take the purse. I hesitated, my fingers hovering. You can come willingly, or I'll make sure you come along, but you're helping me pick out what you need. Take it. I grabbed the purse, and she softened slightly. Gloria, come here. Standing beside her, I faced the mirror. Look at yourself. Tell me anyone would guess who you are. You make a beautiful girl, and I promise, I won't let anyone hassle you, okay? Do I have to go, Mom? I asked, my voice small. I've never. It's time you started, she said, cutting me off. Judging by how you look, I'd bet you were already thinking about trying this outside. So stop complaining before you really upset me. My father's sour expression followed us as we left the house, my own face a mask of fear. The street was mercifully empty, and I slipped into the car unseen. But at the mall, as Mom parked, I spotted a group of kids I knew heading inside. My body froze, panic rooting me to the seat, but Mom marched toward the entrance without a glance back. I scrambled to catch up, whispering frantically that I'd seen classmates. She didn't even slow down. Inside, we navigated to a department store's lingerie section, where she handed me 2 bras, packages of panties, 2 short slips, and a nightgown. She moved with purpose to the corsets and panty briefs, selecting items with ease and piling them into my arms. Laden with bags, we paid and descended to the juniors department. After picking out 3 skirts, 2 dresses, and several blouses, she steered me to the shoe section. A clerk fitted me for another pair of heels and 2 pairs of flats. Exhaustion from the constant stress weighed me down, and I was relieved when Mom announced it was time to leave until a girl from school plopped down beside me. Buying shoes is so much fun, right? She said with a bright giggle. Yeah, fun, I mumbled, standing quickly. Bye, she chirped as I hurried after Mom. See? Mom said as we left the store. That wasn't so bad. Even that girl thought you were one of her own. I stayed silent until I noticed a group loitering near the entrance. Mom, I whispered, my heart racing. I see them, she said calmly. Stay close, act like you belong, and it'll be fine. But it wasn't fine. My friend Ethan spotted Mom and started to say something. Then his gaze landed on me. His eyes widened, a knowing smile spreading across his face, before he said a casual hello, and walked off. Mom thought everything was under control until we were in the car, and I told her Ethan had recognized me. Her face faltered, she hadn't anticipated that, but I was the one in the spotlight now. She apologized, but the damage was done, and there was no undoing it. Back home, Dad's eyes zeroed in on the bags, demanding to know what we'd bought. Mom began to explain, her voice steady as she recounted our haul. Mom's voice carried a mix of practicality and exasperation as she addressed Dad's grumbling. Gloria needs more than one outfit. She can't wear the same underwear for days, it'll start to smell. And those heels were her only shoes. Stop complaining. We're the ones who insisted she dressed this way. So what did you think would happen? Dad's eyes narrowed. Did anyone recognize her? I swallowed hard before answering. Ethan was there. I think he saw me, put it together, and figured out it was me. Why? Dad's face tightened. So the secret's out, isn't it? He'll tell all your friends, and… Maybe not, Mom interjected, her tone calm but firm. From the look on his face, I'd say he won't say anything until he's certain it's true. Does that mean I don't have to? I started, my voice barely above a whisper. No! Dad's response was sharp, cutting through my hope. You're the one who chose to dress like a girl, so you'll deal with the consequences. If Ethan shows up, maybe you should just be honest with him. Maybe he'll get why you want to do this. Maybe he even thinks you're cute or something. That's enough, Mom said, her voice softening as she turned to me. Go put your things away, Gloria. Try the pink and white skirt with the matching blouse, the one with the V-neck. And let your hair down. I retreated to my room, carefully storing the new clothes and slipping into the outfit Mom suggested. The urge to flee was overwhelming, but running was impossible. Staring at my reflection, I swallowed my nerves, removed the scrunchie, and brushed my hair until it fell naturally. The short skirt, grazing well above my knees, made me hyper-aware of my appearance. I started down the stairs, each step heavier than the last, when the doorbell chimed. Panic surged, and I darted into the kitchen, hiding out of sight. Gloria! Dad's voice boomed. It's for you! I stayed rooted, hoping to disappear, until Mom appeared in the doorway. You might as well face him now, she said gently. If you avoid him, who knows what he'll think or do? Do I have to? I pleaded, my voice cracking. He's my friend. He'll think I'm a freak or some kind of weirdo. Come on, honey, she said, her tone reassuring. I'll go with you. We'll explain it together, okay? With no way out, Mom's arm around my shoulders guided me toward the living room, her touch gentle but unyielding. There he was, Ethan, standing in the doorway. Humiliation burned through me, and I barely lifted my eyes. When I did, I caught him studying me, his gaze traveling from my face to my feet. Ethan, this is Gloria, Mom said, her voice steady. Why are you dressed like a girl? Ethan blurted, his confusion plain. Gloria did something she shouldn't have, Mom explained, and we decided she should spend some time as a girl to understand what it's like. But I think she's turned out quite lovely, don't you? Yeah, but… Ethan started. That means, Dad interjected, his voice firm. Gloria will be here every day after school until we decide otherwise. But we won't tolerate her friends giving her a hard time. Am I clear, Ethan? Yes, ma'am, Ethan said, glancing at Mom. No buts, she continued. As long as Gloria's here, you'll treat her like you would any other girl. Understood? Yes, ma'am. Good, Mom said. Now that we're on the same page, why don't you and Gloria go to the patio? I'm sure you have questions, and she might answer them. If not, I can. Summoning every ounce of courage to keep from crying or bolting to my room, I walked toward the back door, certain Ethan would never speak to me again. On the patio, we faced each other, and then I saw a grin spreading across his face. Something funny? I asked, my voice tight. Do I look that bad? Hell no, he said, his grin widening. If anything, you look pretty good. At the mall, I didn't even know it was you until I saw your mom. Even then, I wasn't sure until you did that lip thing you always do. That's when I knew. But why are your parents making you do this? You must have messed up big time. I did, I admitted, my voice low. Mom warned me a bunch of times, and since girls don't usually get in trouble for what I did, they decided I should dress like this for a while. I have to change into these clothes every day after school until they say stop. But when Mom bought all that stuff today, I'm starting to think, so you don't know how long this'll last? He asked. I shook my head. What if… Can you go out? Will they let you leave the house? No way, Ethan, I said, my voice firm. I'm not going anywhere like this. But you went to the mall. With my mom, I shot back. I didn't have a choice. Okay, but if you change your mind, I won't. I always wondered what a guy would look like dressed as a girl, he said, his tone curious. Now I know. Yeah, and it's me, I muttered. True, but just looking at you, I don't see the problem. I mean, I almost didn't recognize you, and I've known you forever. I bet no one else would either. No, I said, shutting the idea down. All right, Gloria. I'll catch you later, all right? Ethan said, his voice light as he turned to leave. Sure, I replied, my tone tight with worry. But please, don't tell anyone. I'd be done for if this got out. I won't, he assured me, grinning. Like I said, I doubt anyone would believe me anyway. Gotta go, Gloria. See you soon. Ethan was the one person I trusted, but the idea of me in a skirt was the kind of juicy gossip that might be too tempting to keep under wraps. Dread washed over me again as I sank into a chair on the patio, my mind spinning. Just how far would my parents push this? I'd always enjoyed dressing up, and I couldn't deny that the clothes Mom bought me felt right. But I never imagined anyone would see me like this, least of all my best friend. When I explained to Ethan why my parents were doing this, I kept it vague but honest, saying that girls don't usually get in trouble for what I did. It was true, girls don't face consequence for dressing as girls. With a heavy sigh, I wondered if Ethan would keep his word, or if I'd end up the butt of every joke at school. Gloria, dinner! Mom's voice called from inside. I smoothed my skirt as I sat at the table, the motion almost instinctive. I was about to take a bite when Mom's voice broke the silence. Ethan thinks you're pretty cute. Did you know that? So? I muttered, my mood sour. He also likes Naomi, and she's not exactly a prize either. One more week, Gloria, Dad said, his voice low but firm. One more week? I echoed, confused. Every time you criticize someone, break a rule, talk back, skip chores, or disobey us, you'll add time to your sentence in skirts, he explained. You're up to 5 weeks now. If you don't want that extended, you need to act like a perfect young lady. 5 weeks? I gasped, my heart sinking. But I thought, I'm sure you hoped we'd back off after Ethan saw you, Dad said, cutting me off. But we told you you'd be dressing this way for a while, and we're not changing our minds. If we did, what would you learn from us caving? 5 weeks, and if you want to avoid more, just obey us, be polite, and stop commenting on others, especially other girls. I swallowed hard, realizing my birthday was roughly 5 weeks away. Asking what they had planned wasn't worth the risk of adding more time, so I kept quiet. The thought of wearing a party dress at my own birthday loomed large, and I pushed it aside. As I cleared the table later, a realization hit me. I'd always wanted to be a girl, but fear of being found out had kept me from admitting it. Now, here I was, fully dressed as one. If I wanted to keep this up, all I'd need to do was stir up a little trouble now and then, and I'd be in skirts for ages. But the longer I wore them, the more Mom would push me to go out shopping, or worse. That much I knew for sure. I retreated to my room, firing up the computer for a game, when Mom slipped in and closed the door behind her. You seem to know a lot about being a girl, she said, her voice thoughtful. I noticed today the way you walk, how you move your arms and hands, even the way you smoothed your skirt before sitting at dinner. And I saw how Ethan looked at you, honey. I wonder how long it'll be before he comes back to see Gloria, not the old you. I'm not like that, Mom, I protested, my cheeks flushing. She continued as if I hadn't spoken. And with just one more slip-up, you'll have to face the whole family like this, won't you? Mom, please, I groaned. Do I have to? Uncle Mike is… You know how he is. He thinks anyone who isn't a white guy over 21 with a rifle is worthless. What's he going to say? Nothing, she said firmly. If it comes to that, your father will make it clear we won't tolerate any nonsense. But everyone will be here. They'll all see me, I pleaded. Let's be real, Gloria, she said, her voice cutting through my panic. We both know you've been dressing up for as long as I can remember. This is what you've wanted. The only thing holding you back is whatever's scaring you. You look lovely as a girl, and as long as you don't act like a boy in a dress, I don't see how anyone would know unless you tell them. I won't judge you for wanting this, but I will make sure you behave like a proper young lady, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. She stood, softening slightly. Wash up carefully, put on your nightgown, and you can have an hour on the computer before bed. With a kiss on my forehead, she left the room. Sunday meant no school, but it also meant church, and that thought twisted my stomach into knots. My parents always attended the late service, and if they were serious about me dressing as a girl whenever I wasn't in school, it was almost certain they'd expect me to go as Gloria. That would mean everyone we knew, friends, neighbors, distant relatives, would see me. Lying in bed, I replayed Mom's words from the night before. She'd said I must want to be a girl, given how long I'd been dressing up, and deep down, I knew she was right. My own desires had been clear for years, and in that moment, clarity washed over me like a wave. If I had to present myself as a girl and face the world, I'd do it on my terms, giving it everything I had, no matter what came next. Ethan already knew, so the secret was halfway out. My best shot was to embrace it fully, to be as feminine as I could manage. If I failed, it wouldn't be for lack of effort, and I could still lean on the excuse that this was all a punishment. Smiling to myself, I pictured stepping into church as the girl I'd always dreamed of being, someone everyone accepted without question. As sleep pulled me under, I held on to that vision, a version of myself everyone had always known. At breakfast, Mom's voice was casual as she told me to wear the flowered dress hanging in my closet. Once I'd eaten, she sent me to get ready for church. With plenty of time, I filled the bathtub, sank into the warm water, and shaved every inch of my skin I could reach, leaving it smooth and soft. After toweling off, I slathered on lotion, savoring the silkiness before returning to my room. I laid out a clean bra, panties, pantyhose, the corset, and the dress, pausing to glide my hands over my freshly shaved skin one last time before slipping on the panties. In the bathroom, I applied my makeup with Care Light foundation to even my complexion, a dusting of powder, pale green eyeshadow, brown eyeliner, and pencil to define my eyes, a touch of mascara, and a soft sweep of blusher. Dressing was straightforward, and as I stepped into the white heels, Mom appeared with a blow-dryer in hand. She sensed something different about me, a shift in my demeanor, but said nothing as she styled my hair. She worked it into loose waves that framed my face, brushing out bangs and trimming them with scissors for a polished look. When she finished, her hand rested on my shoulder. "You've made up your mind, haven't you?" she asked, her voice gentle but knowing. "Made up my mind about what?" I replied, feigning innocence. "You're done pretending we're forcing you into this," she said, her eyes searching mine. "I can tell. You spent ages in the bath. Your makeup is flawless. Your skin is smooth and hairless. Your arms were hairy yesterday. Names? And now they're not. The only thing that makes sense is that you've decided to stop fighting and be the girl you clearly want to be. Am I right? Is that why you seem so at peace?" I met her gaze, my voice soft. "You won't tell Dad?" She shook her head. "Not unless it becomes undeniable, but he'll figure it out eventually. For now, it's just between us. Okay? I've never been able to keep up with the guys at school, Mom," I admitted. "And we both know I'm not likely to get much bigger." After Ethan saw me, I knew I had to do something. "I figured you'd make me go to church as a girl today, so I decided to go all in. Everyone's going to see me, or hear about this anyway. So yeah, I've decided to be the girl I've always felt I was. When they see me like this, they'll know I want this. I can't pretend anymore, Mom. Not after them all." "So you can't or won't give it up?" she asked. I nodded, and she smiled faintly. "Then we'll make sure you get to be who you want to be, won't we?" Without another word, she left the room, leaving me to add earrings, a spritz of perfume, and a swipe of lipstick. I checked my reflection one last time, grabbed the white purse, and stepped out of my room. I knew I looked good, and Mom was right, I wasn't fighting it anymore. If my parents wanted me to be a girl and I wanted it too, then I'd become one. The decision felt simple, like a weight lifting from my chest. My only worry was school. If I could look convincing enough, no one would connect Gloria to the boy I was on Monday. It seemed logical, and with every effort I'd made to appear as feminine as possible, I felt ready to pull it off. As I stepped into the living room, Dad's eyes widened, and he rose to his feet, a gesture he reserved for women. "You look incredible," he said, his voice catching. "I didn't expect. I mean—" "It's okay, Dad," I said softly, offering a small smile. "I get it." I didn't tell him why I looked so polished or why my usual nervousness had vanished. Instead, I settled onto the couch, crossing my legs with care, and waited for Mom. She swept in, radiant in a powder blue suit with an A-line skirt that showed off her legs, a subtle flex she wasn't shy about. Her eyes scanned me, but she said nothing, not even when I climbed out of the car first at church. Clutching my purse the way she did, I fell into step beside them as we entered the sanctuary. No one turned to stare, and I let myself relax, thinking I'd blended in. But as the service drew to a close, the Reverend called out new faces in the congregation, asking us to stand. My stomach dropped. When my turn came, I rose, my voice barely audible. "Gloria Anderson," I said, feeling every pair of eyes in the room fix on me. I sank back into the pew, cheeks burning, as the service ended. We joined the crowd filing out, and at the door, the pastor took my hands, his smile warm. "It's wonderful to have you here, my dear," he said. "You brightened the whole service." "Thank you," I murmured, knowing my face was flushed. "Gloria will be with us for a while," Mom added smoothly. "I'm sure you'll see her again." The pastor shook Dad's hand, and we started toward the car for our usual brunch, but a voice cut through the parking lot. "Gloria! Hey, Gloria!" I turned to see Ethan and his parents by their car. My hand instinctively grabbed Dad's as they approached. "Hi," Mom said brightly. "I don't think you've met Gloria." "Ethan's told us all about you, dear," his mother said, her tone kind. "Hello, Justin," Ethan's dad began. "I didn't think you'd—" "This is Gloria," Dad interrupted, his voice firm. "Not Justin." "But Ethan said—" his dad pressed. "That was then," Mom said, emphasizing her words. "This is Gloria now, and we expect people to treat her as such." "We're heading to eat," Dad said, steering the conversation. "Care to join us?" "I've got a flight to catch," Ethan's dad replied, his discomfort clear. "But we can," his mom said lightly. "If you can drop us off after?" "Of course," Dad agreed. Ethan's dad didn't argue, though his expression soured as we all piled into Dad's car. The tension I'd carried began to fade, replaced by a growing resolve to fully embrace the girl I knew I was. My voice softened, taking on a lighter, more feminine lilt, with the questioning cadence I'd noticed in other girls. Ethan, sitting beside me, just grinned, seeming unfazed. Over brunch, Mom laid out the situation, then dropped a revelation that hit like a thunderbolt. "Gloria has always been part of us, in a way," she said. "A recent incident brought her to the surface, and as you can see, she's quite the young lady. Given how much she wants this, we're considering letting her stay with us like this." "You're saying Justin's been dressing as a girl all this time?" Ethan's mother asked, her voice tinged with shock. "It's not that unusual," Mom replied calmly. "Lots. Not common, but not rare. We're thinking about what's best for Gloria, especially with school. Her safety comes first, but beyond that, I've heard of boys wanting to be girls," Ethan's mom said, recovering. "I've never met one before, but Gloria seems like a lovely young lady, and quite cute, too." I sat there, absorbing words Mom hadn't shared with me before. Ethan, still beside me, kept smiling, a reaction that felt surprisingly comforting. The conversation shifted to lighter topics, and soon we were dropping Ethan and his mom off before heading home. In my room, I was about to slip out of my dress when both parents appeared. Dad sat on the bed as Mom unzipped me. "Your mother made a decision without consulting me," Dad said, his voice heavy. "And as much as I don't like it, I have to support her. Since you're clearly putting in the effort to be this girl you claim to be, I'm going to insist on a few things, starting now." Dad's voice was heavy with frustration as he began, his eyes fixed on me. "Let me be clear, I'm not okay with you dressing as a girl. Not at all. Using it as a punishment to get your attention? Fine. But this? I raised you to be a boy, and I can't wrap my head around this obsession you have with being a girl. You're doing it well too well, but that doesn't mean I like it. Part of me wants to march you to your room, make you put on your own clothes, and end this nonsense right now. But your mother's not only approved it, she's gone out and bought you more clothes, including that dress you're wearing. So what am I supposed to do? I can handle you being mad at me, but both of you? Not at the same time. So I'm stuck with this. This act. Is this really what you want? To be a girl? Do you even understand what that means for you, for us? I stayed silent, unsure of what he'd say or do next, my heart pounding. Since your mother's made it impossible for me to overrule her, he continued, it looks like I have no choice but to let you keep dressing up. And if that's how it's going to be, I'm insisting you commit to it fully, be as much a girl as you are right now. As for school, I'm tempted to send you just like this, but we can't until I'm sure you'll be safe. He stood, his confusion and anger palpable as he shot a glance at Mom before turning back to me. You'd better change. I'm sure Ethan will stop by. For some reason, he seems pretty taken with you. Mom lingered as I undressed, her eyes narrowing when she noticed the absence of any telltale bulge. How are you managing that? She asked bluntly. I hesitated, then lowered my panties to reveal the 2 strips of tape I'd used to tuck myself. That must hurt, she said, her voice a mix of concern and curiosity. Put on the shorts and a top. We need to talk again. I slipped into the shorts, a top, ankle socks, and sneakers, then joined them on the patio. Dad gestured to a chair, his expression unreadable. Your mother's been telling me about things that can make you look more like a girl than I thought possible, he said. We've decided she'll get them for you as soon as she can. We're not just testing your ability to look and act like a girl, we're going all in. Since you seem to want this so much, you'll return to school in the fall as a girl. I spoke to the principal and she's agreed, as long as you blend in. You won't be allowed in gym class, but she suggested the aerobics group instead, which sounds fine. It's a private school, so she can set her own rules. That means you're going back as a girl. It'll be up to you to make it work. You can finish this year part-time, but when summer starts, you'll be a girl every day. No exceptions. Is that clear? I nodded, too stunned to speak. And isn't it your turn to wash the car? He added. Inside and out. A mix of terror and exhilaration coursed through me. Dad was pushing for Mom to enhance my appearance, likely breast forms to replace my makeshift padding, maybe a proper haircut and manicure. But the real challenge would be school, where I'd have to navigate as a girl on my own. I grabbed the bucket, brush, and soap from the garage and started scrubbing the car, letting the repetitive task give my mind room to process. Despite Dad's words, he could stop this in an instant if he wanted. Mom, too, had her reservations, even as she helped me. So why were they both insisting I attend school as a girl? Dad seemed to think I had a crush on Ethan, but that wasn't true, he was just my friend. The idea of boys in that way hadn't even crossed my mind, not the way Dad assumed. Yet, as I worked, the possibility of navigating that world as a girl began to feel inescapable. Mom's comment about this not being uncommon stuck with me. She must have done her research, which made me suspect they were testing me. If I resisted becoming a female student, they'd likely pull me back to being a boy in a heartbeat. But if I embraced it, gave it everything I had, and succeeded, what then? I wasn't sure what they'd do, especially if I managed to pull it off. Maybe they'd let me keep living as a girl, I thought, splashing soapy water across the car's hood. Going back to being a boy now would surely disrupt the school, and they wouldn't want that. My shirt clung to me as I worked, soaked from my clumsy efforts. But I didn't notice how the wet fabric turned nearly see-through, outlining my bra, until Mom stepped outside and pointed it out. Cheeks burning, I hurried inside to change, then finished the car and retreated to my room. It was time to dig deeper online. The internet was a treasure trove of sites about boys who wanted to dress as girls, and I stumbled across one specific to my state, brimming with links, email addresses, and photos. Scrolling through the images, I froze when I saw a bio from someone in my town, Danielle Parker. She was stunning, outshining many girls I knew. Heart racing, I fired off an email, mentioning we lived in the same place, and cautiously noting my school. As I hit send, doubt crept in. Had I just made a mistake? I bookmarked sites selling everything I might need, from clothing to accessories, and devoured their advice. Knowing I wasn't the only boy in town who felt this way was electrifying. Danielle, with her long brown hair, blue eyes, and flawless figure, looked about my age. I saved her photo, wondering if our paths would ever cross. Monday morning, I left for school as my old self, but the jeans and shirt felt wrong, like a costume that didn't fit. 2 days as a girl had shifted something inside me, leaving me awkward and out of place. I spotted Ethan twice, but he only waved, keeping his distance. That afternoon, before changing, I checked my email and found a reply from Danielle. She went to my school, was my age, but wouldn't share her real name. Elated, I saved the new photo she'd sent. After slipping into a skirt, applying makeup, and tying my hair into a ponytail, I grabbed the camera. I had no pictures of myself as a girl and hoped Mom would help. When she got home, I pounced. "You know, that's a great idea," she said, her eyes lighting up. "We can track your progress." She snapped about 30 photos, inside and out, then handed me the camera. I raced to my room, uploaded them, and pored over each one. Selecting the best, I sent it to Danielle with a short bio. At dinner, Dad's disapproval was palpable. His words sharp as he reiterated his dislike for my dressing up, even as he enforced it. I was caught in a contradiction, his orders to continue clashing with his clear resentment. Mom seemed torn too, enjoying the chance to dress me up like a doll, but holding back full support. She'd bought the clothes, claimed to understand my feelings, yet I sensed it was partly a front. The fact that she knew where to find items to enhance my appearance only deepened my suspicion. After washing the dishes, my chore for the night, I dove into homework. Tuesday morning, back in boy clothes, that same unease gnawed at me, like I was wearing someone else's skin. In the restroom between classes, I caught my reflection and froze. Smeared eyeliner lingered on my upper eyelids. I'd thought I'd scrubbed thoroughly, but there it was, faint but undeniable. Panicking, I washed it off and slipped into my next class, praying no one had noticed. Girls, especially, seemed to catch every detail, and I braced for whispers. At home, an email from Danielle was waiting. "Got your picture. You look as good as you did at church. I'll find you tomorrow." My heart leapt. I was about to meet someone like me, a boy who wanted to be a girl. I changed into a skirt and blouse, applied makeup, pulled my hair into a ponytail, and headed to the kitchen for a soda. That's when I saw her at the front door. Opening it, I found myself face to face with Danielle. "Gloria?" she asked, her smile bright. "Danielle, what are you doing here?" I live just a few blocks away," she said, stepping inside. "I wanted to surprise you. Come in. You look amazing. How do you—" "Hello?" Mom's voice came from behind me. "Gloria, who's your friend?" "This is Danielle Parker," I said, turning. "She goes to our school and our church." Mom's eyes widened. "The only Suttons at church have a son. You too? You're saying you like to dress as a girl like Gloria?" "My parents are fine with it," Danielle said confidently, "as long as I dress like other girls my age. When I started doing this more, Mom got me breast forms to look more natural." "You don't mind me visiting Gloria, do you?" "No, of course not," Mom said, her voice a mix of surprise and curiosity. "Gloria, why don't you and Danielle grab some sodas and head out back?" Mom suggested, her tone warm but curious. Danielle moved with such effortless grace, her mannerisms so naturally feminine, that it was hard to picture her as anything but a girl. When she leaned in and whispered her real name, Ethan, I understood why. Ethan was a quiet, slight guy, always acing his classes and perpetually on the honor roll. Thinking back, I realized I'd never seen him with a girlfriend, and now it clicked. "It's kind of a relief, isn't it?" Danielle said casually as we settled on the patio. "Knowing you're not alone in this?" "Totally," I admitted. "I was convinced I was the only guy who felt like this." "There are at least 4 other guys at school who dress up," she said, sipping her soda. "But I've only connected with them online. You're the first to send a picture, which is how I knew you from church. Standing up and saying your name like that? That must have been wild." It was terrifying, I said, laughing nervously. Mom wouldn't let me stay seated, so I had no choice. I saw Ethan talking to you after, she said, her eyes twinkling. Does he know? Yeah, I sighed. He spotted me with Mom at the mall and put it together. Then he came over, and Mom straight up told him. But she warned him not to spread it. He promised he wouldn't 5 wouldn't, but he told me he met a girl he thought was really cute, but not his type, Danielle said, grinning. That's gotta be you, Gloria. Did he say why I wasn't his type? I asked, curious. Nope, but since he knows you're not, I can guess. Good, I said, relieved. Boys are a headache we don't need. That's why I only do this on weekends or sometimes during the week. Never for company, family stuff, or holidays. Can you imagine if someone even family didn't take it well or started blabbing? I'd be screwed, and my parents could get in trouble. Has a guy ever hit on you? I asked, leaning in. Twice, she said. I said no, and they backed off. My parents wouldn't let me date a guy anyway, and I'm not pushing it. I've got a good thing going. Why mess it up? My parents are talking about sending me to school as a girl, I said, my voice quieter. Don't, she warned, her tone serious. All it takes is one person guessing or suspecting, and you're toast. If you can't prove you're a girl, you could get hurt bad. Where'd you get those breast forms? I asked, shifting gears. Mom said she'd get me some. These aren't forms, Danielle said, smirking. This is all me. But you said, when I started, yeah, but I found a site online selling pills to, make you more like a girl. Super easy. I filled out a form, ordered a ton, and started taking one a day about 10 months ago. 2 months back, I started developing. And now, she gestured vaguely at her chest. Girls, dinner! Mom's voice called from inside. Danielle started for the door, but Mom stopped her. I called your mom, Danielle. You're welcome to stay if you'd like. She stayed, and I was a bundle of nerves through dinner, reeling from her revelation. Ethan always wore baggy clothes trendy, sure, but now I knew why. He was hiding actual breasts. I could barely sit still, desperate to ask more, but I had to endure the meal. Dad, meeting Danielle, had no clue she was like me until Mom spilled it. He had questions, I could see it in his eyes, but he kept them to himself, treating her kindly throughout. After dinner, we bolted to my room, and the second the door closed, I blurted, Can I see? I'm not… Sure, she said, unfazed. They're small, though. She lifted her top and bra, revealing 2 small, perfectly formed mounds. My breath caught. I wanted that my own, real curves. As she fixed her clothes, she added, Not a single extra hair on my body, and my hips are starting to round out. I figure it'll take until graduation to get where I want, but by then, I'll be 18, out of school, and free to do what I want. Everyone else can deal. Do your parents know? I asked, wide-eyed. No way, she said. I'm super careful. Dad almost caught me coming out of the shower once. I stayed in the bath until he left. He'd lose it if he knew. He's okay with me dressing up and probably suspects I'll go full-time someday, but this? No. Yeah, I said, understanding completely. I get it. Want some pills? She asked out of nowhere. I've got extra. Was she kidding? Of course I wanted them. We arranged for her to slip me some at school the next day, with a stern warning to keep it secret. Danielle had been adamant that dressing as a girl at home during the week or on weekends was the safest way for us, and I couldn't disagree. After she headed home, I found Mom and asked to talk. Sitting across from her, I spilled everything Danielle had said about why going to school as a girl was a bad idea, too much risk of exposure, or worse. Then, for the first time, I laid my heart bare. I want to dress at home and on weekends, Mom, because someday I'm going to be a real girl. She studied me, her expression soft but measured. I think that's a sensible plan, and I believe you mean it. But let's take it one step at a time, okay? Is Danielle going to church on Sunday? I shrugged, unsure. It doesn't matter, she said. I'll need to talk to her mother, though. It seems we both have unique daughters. Now, get to your homework and head to bed. That night, lying in the dark, I couldn't stop imagining myself with curves of my own, I'd always wanted them, and now with those pills, it felt possible. If it took Danielle nearly a year to develop, I'd likely be out of school before anything showed 18, just 9 days before graduation. The thought sent shivers down my spine, keeping sleep at bay. The next day, Ethan slipped me a bottle of pills at school, which I tucked into my knapsack. As much as I itched to take one, I waited until I was home, stashing the bottle in a safe spot. At dinner, Mom dropped a bombshell. "I think it's better if Gloria only dresses on weekends or a few times during the week," she said to Dad. "If we count just those days for the punishment, it's about 18 weeks. My heart leapt, but I stayed still, waiting for Dad's reaction. "We'll exclude special events," Mom continued, "like his birthday or family outings. Vacations are up in the air, but let's just say Gloria will be with us for a while." "I suppose," Dad grumbled, his tone sour. "But we decide what counts. I won't have my son dressed like that for important occasions." Mom and I exchanged a glance, then nodded in unison. From then on, I became Gloria 3 times a week and every weekend, all while secretly taking the pills. I grew skilled at makeup and hair, even painting my nails a few times. Ethan, true to his word, never breathed a hint of my secret, but whispers started circling. Perfume clung to me despite my efforts, and outings with Mom, church, shopping, the occasional dinner put me in the open. I'd spotted classmates more than once, and I knew they'd seen me. No one said anything, but the hushed murmurs grew. 5 months later, summer vacation loomed, and I pitched becoming Gloria full-time. Mom wasn't thrilled and shut it down. 3 times a week, plus weekends, she said firmly. That gave me Wednesday through Sunday, if I grouped my days. Since it was Wednesday, I headed to my room to change. Checking myself, I saw no signs the pills were working yet, but I trusted they would, even if it took 10 months. I slipped into shorts and a top, pulled my hair up, added light makeup, and told Mom I was walking to Danielle's. "Call first," she said. "Make sure she's home." Daniela's voice on the phone was strained, and she promised to call later, so I hung up. Mom sent me to clean my room and organize my clothes. Tired of hiding my girl things in a box, I overhauled my dresser, dedicating the bottom 2 drawers to Gloria's wardrobe and the top 2 for my boy clothes. I hung my skirts, blouses, and dresses together in the closet, then tackled the room itself. Moving furniture was tough, but I cleared out my old trophies and boyish decor. When Mom saw the transformation, she said one word: "Paint?" That's how my room became a soft blue with white trim, not overtly feminine, but a far cry from the cowboy wallpaper I'd loathed. Mom swapped my bedding for a blue and white set, which felt just right. Later that day, Danielle called, saying she'd come over. As I waited, curiosity and concern swirled what had upset her so much. Danielle arrived, and I grabbed a couple of sodas before we settled at the patio table out back. "What's going on?" I asked, leaning in. "You sounded so tense on the phone." "My mom saw my chest and lost it," Danielle said, her voice low. "Then she made me strip, and when she saw everything else, she flipped." "So, what happens now?" I asked, my stomach tightening. "I don't know yet, but she was furious, that's for sure." "They weren't that big when I saw them," I said, frowning. "And you hid them fine, so why is it such a big deal?" "They've grown, Gloria. A lot. I'm past an A cup now, and who knows when they'll stop. My hips and butt are bigger too, and being completely hairless like a girl? Shy." That's what really set her off. "But she let you come here," I pointed out. "So?" She said there's no way I can hide this when school starts, especially if I keep developing. Starting today, I'm Danielle full-time. She didn't say it outright, but I think she and Dad are planning to send me to an all-girls school in the fall. "That doesn't sound so bad," I said cautiously. "Being a girl full-time, I mean." "Maybe," she said, her voice wavering. "But my dad doesn't know yet. I can't even imagine how he's going to react." She paused, then looked at me. "Have you started developing?" "Not yet," I admitted, "but I'm losing some body hair and spots." "I should have waited to start those pills," she said, frustration creeping in. "If I had, I'd be out of school before all this hit." The patio door slid open, and we froze. Our mothers stood there, their faces stormy, arms crossed. "You've both been taking hormones, haven't you?" Mom's voice was sharp. "I know Danielle has, and I want the truth. Gloria Ann Marie Anderson. Right now." Her eyes told me she already knew, so I nodded, my throat tight. "How much and how often?" she demanded. 2.5 milligrams, once a day, I said quietly. "For the last 5 months." "I see." Her voice was ice. "You're grounded until we sort this out, Gloria. I want to see what's happening to you. I know Danielle's nearly fully developed, and I assume you're aware of that." Danielle's mom spoke up, her tone resigned but firm. "Karen, my husband and I don't see any choice but to enroll Danielle in an all-girls school this fall. You might want to consider that for Gloria. Like it or not, it seems we both have daughters now, and we know just the place for them." Danielle's mom ushered her out, while Mom marched me to my bedroom and told me to undress. She inspected me thoroughly, prodding my chest, noting my nearly hairless skin and slightly smaller anatomy. "Well, you've really done it now, haven't you?" she said, her voice a mix of exasperation and disbelief. "We let you dress up, practically full-time, and you go and do this?" "But nothing's happened except losing some hair," I protested. "Oh, really?" she shot back. "You're about an AA cup already, and you'll hit a full A soon, mark my words. Your hips are rounder, too, not much, but it's noticeable. Gloria, you know your father's going to be livid, don't you?" I nodded, my head bowed, dread pooling in my stomach. "Maybe Kim's right," she said after a tense pause. "Maybe an all-girls school is the answer. No distractions there." She told me to get dressed and stormed out, leaving me trembling with both fear and a strange thrill. Dad was going to lose it, and I'd be lucky to escape with just a lifetime grounding. Instead of shorts, I chose a short, flattering skirt and my tightest top. If I was going down, I wanted to look good doing it. Mom glanced at me as I came downstairs and pointed to the seat beside her. "For you, being a girl is what you've always wanted, isn't it?" she asked softly. "Yes," I whispered. "That's why you didn't fight us on dressing 3 days a week plus weekends, right?" "Yes," I said again, my voice barely audible. "I think I knew that, honey," she said. "But taking pills without a doctor? Don't you know how dangerous that is? How many do you have left?" "A lot," I admitted. "Almost a year's worth." "Don't leave the house," she said. "And fix your hair, let it down. You look better that way, and you'll need to look your best when your father hears about this." The moment Dad walked in, Mom pulled him aside. I knew she was telling him everything about me, about Danielle. Sitting in the family room, sweat trickled down my back, my makeup smudging under the strain. His footsteps echoed before he appeared, his face a mask of barely contained fury. I shrank back, bracing for what he might do. Dad took a step toward me, his face a storm of fury, but Mom's voice cut through the tension, sharp and steady. "Sourball, you promised!" Yeah, he growled, stepping back. "Don't hurt the little girl." His voice dripped with sarcasm. "I ought to drag you to the garage and show you exactly what I think of this. But you're damn lucky I gave your mother my word." His beard caught the light as he paced, his movements surprisingly agile despite his stocky frame. His eyes never left me, sizing me up as he wrestled with what to say next. When he spoke, his South Jersey accent thickened, a sure sign of his anger. "Your mother says you've got breasts already. Is that true?" I froze, unable to find words. "Answer me, damn it!" he barked. "I guess," I mumbled. "Mom says so." "You guess?" he snapped. "So you're not just stupid? You can't even tell when you're growing breasts?" "No, sir," I said, shaking my head. I think," Mom interjected, her voice calm but firm, "that because they haven't fully developed yet, and it's been so gradual, she hasn't really noticed. But they're there, and even if she stopped the pills now, I'm certain they'd keep growing." "Quiet, Karen," Dad shot back, his tone laced with disdain. "I don't care about that. My son, the girl, what the hell do we do now? This was supposed to be a punishment, not a free pass to become a girl." "I know, honey," Mom said softly. "But it's done, isn't it? Now we have to think about school. By the end of summer, I'm sure Gloria will have a body like most girls her age, if not sooner. We can't ignore this, it's not going away. And if she's been taking those pills, what does that tell you? You tell me, he said, his voice low and challenging. It means we were always going to end up with a daughter, no matter what we did, she said plainly. Gloria's wanted this forever, and our punishment just confirmed it. That's why she took the pills. We have to accept that Gloria's here to stay. So take a deep breath, calm down, and let's look at this clearly. You're taking her side? He asked, incredulous. There are no sides, Mom said firmly. Gloria's our child, part of this family, and we're obligated to protect her. Skirts or slacks, that doesn't change. Do I like this? No. Do I wish we'd handled it differently? Yes, but it's done. What about that other one, Danielle? Dad turned to me. Did she push you into this? No, I said, my voice rising. It was my choice. I took the pills on my own. He clenched his fists and stormed toward the dining room, pausing to glare back at me. I should shave your head and stick you in coveralls, but since you're so hell-bent on being a girl that you'd take those pills, fine. You'll get every chance to be as feminine as you want. Tomorrow I'm finding you a charm school, and you'll attend every day until I say stop. Let's see how you handle it. Maybe they'll turn a boy into a girl. Maybe not. I don't care. You're going to experience every damn thing a girl does, and you'll prove to me you're right and I'm wrong. He turned to Mom. No more discussion, Karen. Gloria's going to whatever school I choose, and she'll do every single thing they offer. Clear? I sat there, Mom's gaze heavy on me. Well, she said dryly, you're still alive. But her words offered no comfort. Dad's look of disgust had stripped away any respect he'd had for me. Tears welled up, spilling over in a flood of sobs, not because of the charm school, but because of the contempt in his eyes. Mom left me there, retreating to the kitchen. I heard their muffled voices as I fled upstairs, my first impulse to rip apart my girl clothes, toss the makeup, and beg Dad's forgiveness as a boy again. But when I yanked open the drawers, my hands froze. I couldn't do it. Collapsing face down on the bed, I sobbed into my pillow, Mom's words about Dad's nickname echoing in my mind. Sour ball, she'd said, earned in high school for his sour temper when angry. When the tears finally stopped, I was left grappling with the truth of my situation. My heart knew who I had to become, but my love for Dad and my need for his approval tore at me, leaving me caught in a painful limo. I stayed in my room all night, sleep eluding me, as nightmares of rejection and failure swirled in my mind. When I finally drifted off, it was late, and I woke the next morning feeling like I'd barely rested. Instead of getting dolled up as usual, I threw on a robe and shuffled to the kitchen. Mom sat alone at the table, a cup of coffee in her hands. Rough night? She asked, her voice gentle. I nodded, and she gestured to the fridge. Grab some juice and sit. I poured a glass and sank into a chair, bracing myself. Your father's furious, she began, her tone measured. He always knew you liked dressing as a girl, and he was starting to come around to it. But what he can't stomach is that you weren't honest with us. You know how he is, his views on men and women are rigid. He can't fathom why any male would choose to become a woman, no matter the reason. He's struggling with the idea of you doing things girls and boys do together, and the thought of it drives him up the wall. Taking those pills was reckless, honey. I think I get why you did it, but look at what it's doing to our family. Maybe a doctor could reverse it? I offered weakly, grasping at straws. Maybe, she said, unconvinced. But what's the point? You'd just start again eventually, wouldn't you? All that would do is delay this mess. He hates me, Mom, I said, my voice breaking. Maybe it'd be better if I just left. Stop that right now, she snapped, her eyes flashing. You're not going anywhere. You're going to do exactly what we tell you. She leaned forward, elbows on the table, her gaze intense. The only way out of this is to become the daughter we would have raised from the start. That means attending whatever classes your father picks and excelling at them. Prove him wrong, honey. Show us this is who you are by working hard at being the girl you want to be. I think your father could accept you as a girl if he sees a real girl, not a boy in a dress. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah, I said quietly. It's all or nothing. Exactly. And that's not just about how you look, it's how you act, too. Now, did you get those pills from Danielle? I hesitated, not wanting to betray her, but I was in too deep. I nodded. How'd she get them? Mom pressed. Online, I said. There are sites where you can buy them without a prescription. I paused, then added, what I don't understand is why it took her 10 months to develop anything, while I'm already starting to grow. Danielle's got a slighter build, Mom explained. She can't weigh more than 125, and her face is narrower. You're sturdier, with a rounder face and more body mass. Those pills probably worked faster on you because you got more fat to work with. She stood. Go get dressed, Gloria. We're taking you to the doctor to see what those pills have done and what we should expect. Determined to follow her advice, I took extra care getting ready, choosing a skirt and top that flattered me. At the doctor's office, I braced for another lecture. After I explained what I'd done, she didn't hold back, scolding me, before starting her examination. I'd lost 8 pounds since my last visit, and she confirmed Mom's observations. Even if you stop the pills, she said, you'll keep developing for a while. How big were you in high school? She asked Mom. About a B cup, I think, Mom replied. I wore a size 6, if that helps. Daughters often develop like their mothers, the doctor said. Given Gloria started these pills early in puberty, I'd estimate she'll follow a similar path. It's a guess, but the odds are in my favor. Her breasts are starting to grow rapidly now, her hips are widening, and the near absence of body hair all point to her becoming a young lady soon. So even without the pills, she'll keep changing? Mom asked. Her blood work shows high estrogen levels, the doctor said. If she stops, her male hormones will eventually take over. But you'd likely end up with a masculine-looking girl, which I doubt Gloria wants. I'll prescribe the hormones, but I want her back here monthly for checkups, okay? Mom filled the prescription, and as we left, her phone rang. I could tell from her expression it was Dad. She confirmed it when we drove across town to the charm school he'd chosen. It was a house, not a formal school, and as we stepped inside, the faint sound of music drifted from another room. A woman greeted us as we stepped into the house, her graying hair and warm brown eyes giving her a kind but no-nonsense air. Hello, can I help you? She asked, introducing herself as Janet Stone. Yes, Mom replied. My husband called? About Gloria? Oh, yes, Janet said, nodding. He was very clear about what he wanted, and I assured him we can meet all of Gloria's needs. That's great, Mom said. Will she need anything specific? Just a leotard for now, Janet said. We have everything else here. Can she stay? I have another girl starting today, so we could begin right away. Mom nodded. What time should I pick her up? 5, Janet said. And have her back by 8 tomorrow morning. Janet showed me around, but that first day was light, more orientation than anything. After that, though, my life became a grueling test. Janet's warm demeanor masked a relentless taskmaster. She demanded precision in everything: posture, gestures, even walking with a book balanced on my head. She banned padding, so I was flat-chested until my body began to change a month later. The other girl, a 12-year-old, tackled every task with enthusiasm, unfazed by the rigor. At home, things were barely better. Dad refused to ask about the school he'd forced me into, his silence a wall between us. I hadn't seen any friends, not even Danielle. Mom made me purge my boy clothes, replacing them with items she deemed essential. 2 months into charm school, the change everyone predicted hit like a tidal wave. Almost overnight, my chest swelled past an A cup, nearing a B, and my hips curved dramatically. When it was time to return to school, Dad's words were a stark warning. You've developed so much, we're not sending you to some fancy girls' school. You'll go to a new school as a girl. How you handle it is up to you. I hope those classes helped, because this is what you wanted, and now you've got it. 2 days before school started, Ethan stopped by. My appearance had transformed: blonde hair, blue contacts instead of glasses, no padding anywhere. When I answered the door in a pink tube top and shorts, braless, his jaw dropped. Gloria, he said, blinking, you've really changed. A little, I guess, I said, smiling shyly. I haven't seen you in forever, he said. Thought I'd check in. I've changed, Ethan, I said, my voice soft. That's what's up. I can see that, he said, his eyes lingering. You look better. A lot better. There have been big changes, I admitted. You weren't at sign-up, he noted. New school? St. Mark's, I said. At least they didn't ship you off, he said. That's something. Ethan's gaze made me feel exposed, but also desirable, a new and confusing sensation. I didn't think I looked great, but the way he saw me stirred something unfamiliar. He asked if he could call or visit sometimes, and I agreed before he left. Alone, I grappled with strange feelings, seeing Ethan as handsome, not just a friend. At St. Mark's, I was accepted as a girl, but I stayed vigilant, always careful. Weeks in, I began mimicking the other girl's speech, even giggling a sound I'd never made before. School as a girl was a world apart from being a boy, and I poured everything into fitting in. When the girls rallied against the school's strict skirt-length policy, I joined them, wearing a mini skirt alongside others, even some boys, to push for change. We won a small victory, and for the first time, I felt truly like one of them. The turmoil of that confrontation with Dad had sparked a journey that let me feel whole. Though he despised what I was doing, his demands set me on a path to becoming a woman. By my senior year, I was indistinguishable from my peers. Like many girls, I wasn't focused on going too far with guys, so it didn't weigh on me. I attended proms, cheered at games, and joined clubs, all while continuing charm school twice a week. Janet, who'd always known I was a boy, went above and beyond to teach me what I needed to be a girl. Our long talks about my dreams and future helped me see what I truly wanted from life. Like a godmother, Janet Stone had been my guide, watching over me with a keen eye, ensuring I mastered every nuance of femininity, from the tilt of my head to the cadence of my voice. She pushed me to pursue my dream relentlessly, no matter how daunting the path. Her belief in me was a quiet force, steadying me through the chaos of my transformation. I didn't see Danielle again for nearly 2 years. When our paths finally crossed at a local cafe, I barely recognized her. The soft, demure girl I'd known had vanished. Her hair, once a cascade of brown, was now a chaotic blend of 3 electric blues, spiked and defiant. She wore skin-tight leather pants and a barely-there crop top that clung to her frame. Piercings glinted from her nose, eyebrows, and at least 4 studs in each ear. Her makeup was bold, sharp black liner, neon shadows, and lips painted a deep crimson. We tried to talk, but the words felt hollow. I'd grown into a polished young lady, my wardrobe tailored, and my demeanor poised as I prepared for college. Danielle, it seemed, had rebelled against something her parents, society, perhaps herself. Her transformation had given her the freedom to embrace this new, edgy persona, but it had carved a chasm between us. We parted with polite smiles, strangers bound only by a shared past. My relationship with Dad had softened over time. The man who once saw my choices as a betrayal now looked at me with a grudging pride. He'd come to see me as the young lady I'd become, and our bond grew warmer, marked by his habit of interrogating my dates with a protective intensity that made me laugh. The dictionary defines frenzy as a wild, turbulent mania, a delirious excitement that consumes. I'd felt all of it in my journey to womanhood, every frantic moment, every heart-pounding fear, every fleeting triumph. It was a grueling road, but I'd walk it again in a heartbeat. The end, for me, had justified every struggle. As my senior year drew to a close, I stood on the cusp of college, accepted into a liberal arts program with a focus on gender studies. My experiences had ignited a passion to advocate for others like me, to carve out spaces where they could thrive without fear. But the summer before I left held one final twist, a moment that would test everything I'd built. It started with a letter, slipped under our front door in the dead of night. The envelope was plain, unmarked, but the handwriting inside was unmistakably Danielle's. Gloria, it read, I need your help. Meet me at the old pier, midnight tomorrow. Please. Don't tell anyone. My first instinct was to ignore it. Danielle and I had drifted too far apart, and the cryptic note screamed trouble. But something in her words, the raw plea beneath the scrawled ink, pulled at me. I couldn't turn away. At midnight, the pier was a skeleton of weathered wood, the ocean's murmur the only sound. Danielle was there, her blue hair glinting under the moonlight, but the bravado I'd seen at the cafe was gone. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her hands trembling as she clutched a worn backpack. "I messed up, Gloria," she whispered. "Big time." She spilled her story in halting bursts. After her parents sent her to the all-girls school, she'd rebelled harder, falling in with a crowd that lived on the edge parties, petty theft, and worse. She'd started dealing to make extra cash, but a deal had gone south, and now she owed money to people who didn't negotiate. "They're coming for me," she said, her voice breaking. I didn't know who else to turn to. I wanted to walk away, to protect the life I'd fought so hard for, but I saw the girl I'd once known, the one who'd shown me I wasn't alone. "How much do you need?" I asked. 5,000, she said, wincing. "I know it's a lot. I'll pay you back, I swear." I didn't have that kind of money, but I had savings from my part-time job at the bookstore, about 3,000. It was meant for college expenses, but I couldn't leave her to face this alone. "I can get you part of it," I said. "But you have to get out of this life, Danielle. Promise me." She nodded, tears streaking her makeup. I gave her what I had the next day, draining my account. She disappeared after that, leaving only a text. "Thank you. I'm sorry." I never heard from her again, and I don't know if she escaped her debts or sank deeper into trouble. The loss of my savings stung, but I couldn't regret helping her. It was a reminder of the fragility of our paths, how easily we could veer off course. Dad found out, of course. I tried to hide the withdrawal, but he noticed the missing money when he checked my account for a college deposit. "What the hell were you thinking?" he demanded, his South Jersey accent flaring. But beneath the anger, I saw concern, not contempt. I told him the truth about Danielle, her desperation, my choice. He didn't yell. Instead, he sat me down, his voice quieter than I'd ever heard. "You've got a good heart, Gloria, but you can't save everyone. Promise me you'll be smarter next time." "I promise," I said, and for the first time, I felt his respect, not just his love. College brought new challenges, but I carried Janet's lessons and Danielle's shadow with me. I thrived, building a community of friends who saw me for who I was. I spoke at campus events, sharing my story to help others find their courage. Dad even came to one, sitting in the back, his face unreadable until he hugged me afterward, whispering, "I'm proud of you, kid." Years later, as I stood at a podium accepting an award for my advocacy work, I thought of that frenetic journey, the tears, the triumphs, the choices that shaped me. Danielle's fate remained a mystery, a loose thread in my story, but it fueled my drive to make a difference. I'd become the woman I'd always dreamed of, not just for myself, but for those still finding their way. And in that moment, under the spotlight, I knew every step of the frenzy had been worth it.